No one in the world today, anywhere in any other country, is more powerful than President Xi.
It's a pretty bold statement this gentleman gave. His name is Victor Gao, and he is a former communist, whatever, related to the government. And you can see that he's firmly got his head stuck up someone's backside, Xi Jinping. So, not so long ago, Victor gave an interview for Al Jazeera, and if you ever watched it, it is actually a really amazing interview in the way that the interviewer, brilliant, and opened it up to a panel, brilliant, but he could not answer questions, and he was so arrogant and ignorant and awful to even some Uyghurs who can't even speak to his mum. It's a great shame. But what was the aftermath of this? And that's what I wanted to show for today. Let's read some of the comments. Okay, here's the first one that I found. The interviewer did everything to smear China during his interview with Victor Gao. He did debase himself as an historical illiterate clown. Yeah. So you can see what usually happens when they do criticize from the CCP. They don't go for the actual fact. They just go and insult the person directly. You will see it all the time. They call me, as we mentioned before, some people who do videos on YouTube, they would call me like a big fat idiot. They do the personal insult, but they don't do the actual facts that we would create, and we get this facts and we double check them and we show the evidence. These people very rarely do. The only evidence they would show would be from something like Chinese state media, but they would never show it from, let's say, some video feeds from Twitter, from real people on the ground, boots on the ground, and that's another thing that they like to say. Another article here that I got on Twitter during the recent debate and asked Victor Gao, former Chinese diplomat, about the number of Uyghurs in detention. Gao tried to be philosophical in trying to be a straight answer. Yeah, that's pretty common. Most politicians are the same. They want to hide something. They're very good at deflecting it and do it indirectly instead of directly. It's sort of like pretty common with that. Another one. It's really simple. It's simple really. Victor Gao refused to criticize Xi because there's nothing to criticize about him. I would totally disagree with this argument. Let's go back to 2016, and he was caught basically with the Panama Papers, if you remember that far back. It's time for a break. Now, if you want to catch up with the latest news in China, then in New York City, go and pick up your very own copy of China Daily, available in New York City. The crazy thing is, the New York Times is not available in Beijing. Another pro-CCP person came out. Chinese Professor Victor Gao has already given us a brilliant interview on how the Chinese view this kind of performative nonsense. Really? I think some people need to open their eyes. Another comment again from CCP. Hassan has shown himself to be rude, shallow and ignorant interviewer. Victor Gao for staying calm and dignified in the face of constant interruptions and sniping. Well, if he told the truth, then he wouldn't have it. But basically, he's just like the CCP government, just cannot give a direct answer. And Xi Jinping, I will say it here right now, which something he can't do, is an idiot. Again, I'm trying to be, well, I'm not being, I'm being very subjective, because I think the interviewer did a great job because he asked direct questions, what people want to know from the West. Nothing to do with kind of like the politics. Here's the question, can you give me a direct answer, because the people want to know. Gao did not do this. So why don't you give up on Taiwan? I'm glad Victor Gao interview now translated, uploaded onto Chinese social media. We'll get to that in a moment or two. Chinese people deserve to know what kind of shit Western pundits have been saying about them and inform opinions about the West, okay? Again, we'll get back to that in a little while. Another one. In China, if you call the president a liar, you'll be dealt with swiftly, said Victor Gao, the center of China and globalization, in an interview with Al Jazeera. This will come to America if the Communist Democratic Party maintains its power. Okay, time for another quick break. And while I'm here, if you do want to support the channel, like, subscribe and share, fantastic. But if you do want to help me financially, and it all goes to my holiday next week, then please do put a donation into Super Thanks, or you can become a member. All the links are in the description below. Okay, moving on with the aftermath of what has been happening related to this interview. After the interview, Global Times edited and shared a 1-minute highlight of the interview, lauding Gao's verbal battle with foreign media. The edited clip went viral on Weibo, which is a little bit like Twitter, China's version of X or Twitter, but segments the interview were censored and users attempted to share the full video. How did people on Weibo respond to this? One mocked the selective editing. Do you dare to post the whole interview? Another, in a similar vein, asked, why are you only posting a small clip of this interview? Another asked the question, do you really think I haven't seen the entire video? Laugh so hard. If you post the entire video, then I might believe you. Again, these are Chinese people in China who use Weibo, which is like Twitter, and they saw segments of it, but only the positive side, maybe some bits, a lot of it edited out, so it sounds all positive, that the West is bad and China is number one. And yeah, I still think Xi Jinping is an idiot. So how much do you think Victor Gao's net worth is? Is it in the millions? Well, very close to it. It's about $860,000, estimated in, 2024, 8/24. So near enough, that's from today. He is the chief marketing officer of Arrow Electronics. He owns about 6.46% of this company. The net worth is worth over $860,000 American dollars. So that's how much he's worth. And let me just leave you with some interviews of Mr. Gao from the Al Jazeera, and also another one from a British journalist. I'm not too sure when, but you can have a listen to see how manipulative he is, how brain dead he is related to only one policy, and how much he really loves Mr. Xi Jinping, the president, the general secretary, the dictator of China. I'll leave you with that. God bless you all. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye for now. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of this.
My question is, as a dissident from Hong Kong, knowing that I cannot express freely in Hong Kong or in the UK without risking other people in trouble, I also know that you just now made claims about there's free speech in China, and it's possible to criticize the Chinese government just now again. Can you please demonstrate that free speech and tell us what are Xi Jinping's 2 worst mistakes in the past 5 years?
Great question.
If you can demonstrate to us that it's okay to criticize Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, and China, or even just say Xi Jinping kind of resembles Winnie the Pooh, would be good enough for me. Thank you.
Victor, do you want to take that question?
Well, thank you. I would say China need to take more prompt actions in dealing with the dramatic aging population in China and the dramatic demographic decline.
Do you think Xi Jinping's to blame for not being fast enough on aging?
No, I think the whole Chinese government, including the Central Committee, State Council, local government, need to take actions quickly to reverse that dramatic aging population.
I end with a very straightforward question. There's a big debate in Britain about what language we use about China. Are you a competitor? Are you an ally? Are you a threat? How would you regard your relationship with Britain?
First of all, between China and Britain, from the Chinese perspective, Britain is not a rival, is not a competitor, it is not an enemy, is not an adversary. Britain is just an important country to get along with in peace and in friendship and for mutual benefit. Now, how Britain looks at China, it's up to the British government and people to decide. But I think it will be completely misguided for Britain to view China as an enemy or adversary or a competitor. What do China and Britain compete with? China is the largest manufacturer of automobiles. Competing with Britain? No. China is the largest exporter of EV cars and will lead the whole world in EV production. Is Britain a competitor? No. China will be the biggest and most important producer and R&D in terms of semiconductor in no time. Does that mean that China competes with Britain? No. China will be the leading nation in AI revolution. Is Britain a competitor? No. So I think British government should not overestimate its impact on the global scene and view Britain as a rival of China. China is not. China is a fact. China is a megatrend for Britain to live.